143-mile-an-hour winds and what's being called a fire tornado, and a blunt outlook from Governor Jerry Brown.
We're in for a really rough ride, and it's going to get expensive, it's going to get dangerous.
We've got the latest on the state's biggest wildfires. Plus,
as of this morning, we have 14,000 firefighters on the fire line and have burned over 410,000 acres since the beginning of this siege.
We'll go behind the scenes inside the statewide operations center where decisions are made. And the recovery begins for some as the first local assistance center opens to help those in need. That's all coming up next. Hi, I'm Brian May in the state's Emergency Operations Center at Cal OES headquarters, and at this very moment, over 14,000 firefighters are on the job, working to contain the more than a dozen wildfires across California. Let's start with the latest numbers on the four largest of those fires. We will start south and work our way up the state. The Cranston fire in Riverside County, containment now almost up to 100%, holding strong, a little over 13,000 acres. The Ferguson fire in Mariposa County grew by a little less than 5,000 acres overnight, 73,000 plus acres, containment holding strong at 41%. The Mendocino fire, though, in Mendocino and Lake counties exploded again overnight, 43,000 more acres overnight. It is now the largest fire burning in the state at over 153,000 acres, and containment dropped on that fire from 39% down to 30%, still over 9,000 structures threatened in that fire. And then, of course, the Carr fire, which is now in both Shasta and Trinity counties. It grew by another 6,000 plus acres overnight, over 131,000 acres now, containment just slightly up to 39%. It has already destroyed over 1,500 structures. On Wednesday of this week, Governor Jerry Brown came to the state's operations center in Sacramento. The governor was given a complete briefing on the current wildfires and the resources being used to fight them. At a press conference following the briefing, the governor held nothing back when describing the months to come.
We're in for a really rough ride, and it's going to get expensive, it's going to get dangerous, and we have to apply all our creativity to making the best out of what is going to be an increasingly bad situation.
Currently, we have thousands of state, local, and federal firefighters on the line, over 13,000, and several hundred emergency management and law enforcement, as well as over 1,200 National Guard assets to support local authorities through this period of time. You'll know more about that.
Coordinating the firefighting efforts across the state requires constant communication from top leaders, which is why at least twice a day in a room located just above the State Operations Center, there's what's called the Unified Coordination Group Briefing. This briefing is a crucial part of the overall efforts to not only fight the fires, but also get assistance to those affected by the fires. Joining me now to talk more about what happens in these daily briefings, Kelly Houston, Deputy Director at Cal OES. Kelly, first of all, thanks for joining us. I know you're juggling a lot of different issues in these meetings. Give me a rundown of what all is being discussed.
A lot of people don't see what goes on behind the scenes. In this room here is where we do what's called the Unified Coordinating Group, and essentially the top leaders from state government, the federal government, FEMA, and others are here, and they're making decisions about what's happening across the state for firefights all the way from Riverside up to the northern part of the state, and with things that folks perhaps aren't seeing on the news but are really important for the recovery effort after these fires are finally contained. You mentioned recovery. We think about coordinating the firefighting effort, but a lot of this deals with people who have been affected and have had to leave their homes. That's a big part of it, isn't it? It is. You know, putting out the fire is one thing, and protecting life and property is what the firefighters are doing, but also taking care of people is really our top concern, because obviously folks in many cases have lost everything. We have over 1,000 homes that have burned up in the Carr fire, and we've got communities that are still reeling from fires even just a year ago. So the recovery effort is often the most difficult part of these disasters, because there's a lot of detail that needs to be paid attention to and a lot of things that need to be done.
And these briefings will continue as long as we're in an active state of emergency, right?
They do, and they're twice a day now, and depending on how the fires go, hopefully we get some more containment. They may be once a day, but ultimately we keep doing them, and there's all of this discussion going on, because without everybody together at the table discussing what's the most important decisions of the day, or perhaps even of the hour, things don't get coordinated as closely if you're not together and briefing and all on the same page.
Communication is key.
It is.
Kelly Houston, Deputy Director, Cal OES, thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
This may be the best example you will see of fire creating its own weather. This is video of a giant fire tornado from the Carr Fire in Shasta County on July 26th. The National Weather Service called it a fire whirl. They estimated the winds inside this plume in excess of 143 miles an hour. That means it was the equivalent to a twister with a rating of EF3 out of 5. And this rarely seen fire tornado lasted an hour and a half. If you go back and look at the areas where the fire tornado blew through, you can see huge trees toppled, roofs blown off, signs blown down and over, images we don't normally see in areas that were caught in wildfires. On Wednesday of this past week, state leaders went to the areas affected by the Carr Fire. They got a first-hand look at just some of the nearly 1,600 structures destroyed in what is now the 6th most destructive fire in state history. In addition to touring some of the burn areas, the state leaders also visited with some of the workers from the American Red Cross who have been working around the clock to help those in need.
I just want to start off by commending you and thanking you all for your tremendous service. It really does make a huge difference. It's so powerful for the folks that have suffered losses and how you're helping them here and stepping up.
For those who lost their home in the Carr Fire, it is almost overwhelming to know even where to begin. That's why local, state, and federal agencies came together and opened what is called a Local Assistance Center. And with more on that, here's Jonathan Goodell.
The Carr Fire is burning about 25 miles northwest of Shasta High School. Here, on campus, residents impacted by those fires are coming to the Local Assistance Center to begin the rebuilding process.
Well, a Local Assistance Center is really a one-stop shop for those who have been affected, in this case by the Carr Fire. And they can come here, get various services from nonprofit organizations, as well as from government agencies that may help them get back to the track of normalcy. One thing that people may not expect is agencies like DMV to help with driver's licenses or identification cards that maybe have been lost or destroyed in the fire. Other services that we provide is information for debris removal, because that's going to be reality for many people. We also have therapy dogs that are here to assist people in their time of crisis. We have Shasta County Mental Health is here, the Salvation Army, the Red Cross. We've all come together here to really create that one-stop shop for what survivors might need. First and foremost, we want our community to know that we're here for them. We are in this together. Many of the people here have been affected as well. And so we want to go forward with a unified front and make sure that everybody gets the services that they need to start to rebuild and get back to that normal point, which is so important.
The LAC will remain open here at Shasta High School from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. daily through Wednesday, August 8th.
If you have been affected by the wildfires and are looking for information or services, we put together all of the information you could need on one website. Go to wildfirerecovery.org. We've got links for local assistance, services, debris removal, housing, and much more. That's wildfirerecovery.org. For the latest information on any of the current wildfires in California, you can go to the incident page on the CAL FIRE website. That's fire.ca.gov. We leave you now with just a few of the hundreds of signs posted in and around Shasta County, thanking first responders and firefighters. Grateful words from an appreciative and resilient community.